Have you ever found yourself pausing, maybe in a quiet moment, and wondering about the invisible threads that might connect your thoughts, your body, and even the whole universe around us?
It's a classic question, isn't it? Those hidden connections.
Exactly. What if I told you that way back in the mid-19th century, one, well, remarkable mind was convinced he hadn't just found these threads, but had woven them into this huge, almost magical explanation for, well, everything?
Everything from consciousness to chronic illness. Yeah, it was incredibly ambitious.
Well, today we are diving deep into a truly audacious text from 1852. It's by Dr. B. Brown Williams, and it's titled A Treatise on Mental Alchemy, Electro-Psychology, Biology, Magnetism, and Mesmerism. Quite a mouthful.
It certainly is. And, this isn't just some dusty old book.
No, not at all. It's more like a window into this fascinating time when science, philosophy, and frankly, what many people then just called mystical stuff, were all kind of bumping up against each other, trying to explain the unknown.
It's a really profound document, actually. Williams wasn't just like observing things, he was building this grand unified theory of existence.
A unified theory, yeah.
He was blending what was, for his time, cutting-edge understanding of electricity and the nervous system with these older, almost alchemical concepts, all to explain the human experience, even the cosmos. You can really feel the scale of his ambition.
Absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack Williams's extraordinary claims. We want to really get a handle on his vision of mental alchemy.
And figure out how he tried to explain it all.
Right, how he explained everything from the nature of the mind itself to healing diseases, all through this lens of atmospheric electricity interacting with our nervous system.
It's a unique perspective.
It really is. And hopefully you'll gain a shortcut to being super well informed about this, well, truly unique chapter in the history of science and thought. You might even find yourself questioning some modern assumptions.
Definitely worth exploring.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Dr. Williams's audacious vision. What did he actually mean by mental alchemy?
Well, his core idea right at the start was, and I'm quoting him here, to dissipate their mysteries and present them upon the principles of nature.
Dissipate the mysteries. I like that. So he wasn't trying to be spooky.
Not intentionally, no. He looked at things like mesmerism, electro-psychology stuff people were really skeptical about, calling it supernatural or just humbug.
Right, snake oil, basically.
Kind of. But the Williams believed these were actually profound natural phenomena. He thought understanding them was crucial for freeing the soul from the leaden weight of superstition.
Freeing the soul, that's pretty grand.
And also for opening up new fields of mental and moral culture. He saw himself as like a liberator of the mind using science, or his version of it.
Okay, so not magic, but nature. And central to this whole system was something he called atmospheric electricity.
Yes, absolutely central. He boldly claims this isn't just, weather stuff.
Right, not just lightning.
No, he calls it the positive agency, in which, and this is another quote, we live, move, and have our being.
Wow, it sounds almost biblical.
It does, but he meant it scientifically in his framework. He saw it as this omnipresent fundamental force, like an invisible ether filling everything.
Permeating everything.
Exactly. And constantly influencing our nervous system's ability to heal itself, its recuperative energy, as he put it. It's almost like this universal life force constantly flowing through us.
Okay, so you have to remember, in the mid-19th century, electricity was still pretty new and mysterious.
Totally. Think Ben Franklin and his kite. That wasn't that long before. It was clearly powerful, but not fully understood. So for thinkers like Williams, it made a kind of sense to use it to explain other weird, invisible things.
Especially things about the body and mind that nobody could figure out.
Precisely. So connecting atmospheric electricity to life force wasn't just poetry for him. It was like the engine driving everything.
So with this electric ether buzzing all around, how did he actually define mental alchemy itself?
Well, he puts it pretty simply, actually. He says it's the expressed action of the nervous system in carrying impressions to, and the reaction of the mind upon the same.
Okay, action, reaction.
In the vital and material support of its mental as well as physical nature. He really focuses on action and reaction as the key things to understand.
That reaction part feels important, not just signals going to the mind.
Exactly. That's what's quite forward-thinking for 1852. He insists on the mind's active reaction. It's not just passively receiving stuff.
So the mind is doing something with the information.
Yes, it's an internal process where the mind actively sustains both mental and physical well-being. It makes the mind an engine, not just a mirror reflecting the world. That was a subtle but pretty big shift back then.
Okay, an active reacting mind. Now, he takes this big idea and applies it to us, to humans.
Yeah.
He had this fascinating five-system model, didn't he, that mirrored the universe.
He did. It's like seeing us as a mini cosmos. It starts with the terrestrial, our bones, basically, like the solid Earth.
Okay, bones are Earth. Makes sense.
Then the oceanic or aqueous system, blood, fluids, like the oceans and rivers.
Right.
Then the atmospheric or respiratory lungs, breathing, like the air around the planet. Pretty straightforward so far.
Yeah, I'm following Earth, water, air.
But then it gets really interesting. He brings in the electrical or nervous system.
Ah, here comes the electricity again.
Right. And he compares this nervous system to the ether of Newton, or electricity of Franklin, and imagines it stretching all the way to the sun.
To the sun. Wow.
Yeah. He calls the nervous system the lightning flash of the body. For Williams, it wasn't just biology. It was like an antenna.
And the antenna.
Constantly tuning into and transmitting this universal electrical force he believed connected everything in the cosmos. It implies this direct cosmic connection for everyone. Our nerves link us to the stars, basically.
That's a pretty wild image. The lightning flash of the body.
It is, and he doesn't stop there. The fifth system is the spiritual.
The spiritual system.
An interior kingdom, he calls it. The ultimate source of motion, power, and life, and our spiritual energy in nature. So you have this multi-layered person, from bone to spirit, all connected, all reflecting the universe.
It's quite a vision, and this whole framework leads him to a really profound, maybe even radical claim about the mind itself.
Yes, that the mind is fundamentally indestructible.
Indestructible, so not just brain activity.
Definitely not. He argues the mind isn't just impressions on the brain or some vague essence. He says it's the center of an indestructible and eternal spiritual body.
A spiritual body, separate from the physical one.
Entirely distinct, he claims. The brain is just the center of our destructible natural body, but the mind belongs to this other eternal spiritual body.
Okay, that's a huge claim. Does he connect that to anything concrete?
He does, quite strikingly. He uses it to explain phantom limb pain.
Phantom limbs. How?
He suggests that even if you lose, say, an arm, the immortal hand, the spiritual body's version of the arm remains.
What?
And that spiritual limb is still there, still capable of feeling, still causing pain or sensation. It's a remarkable explanation for something still puzzling today, let alone in the 1850s.
It really is. And he claimed he could prove this separate mind existed.
He did, through mental alchemy. He said his methods could take away all impressions from someone's brain, even memories of their parents, completely wipe the slate clean, intellectually speaking.
Take away all impressions. Like, erase their personality.
Essentially, yes, strip away the intellect. But, he claimed, their basic physical functions, heart beating, blood circulating, would carry on just fine.
And that proved.
For Williams, that proved the immortal monarch, the mind, was still there. Stripped of its knowledge, maybe, but still present, still animating the body, fundamentally separate from the physical brain matter.
That's a bold challenge to purely materialist views of the mind, even back then.
Absolutely. He was directly confronting the idea that consciousness is only brain activity.
Now, moving beyond theory, Williams wasn't just a writer, was he? He was out there, in public.
Oh yeah, he was a showman, a public lecturer, a teacher. He gave big public demonstrations and also taught private classes.
And he did that thing where he'd analyze people just by looking at them?
Yes. He claimed he could delineate their physical and mental character by their looks or expression without feeling the size of the Freno organs.
Without feeling the skull bumps, right. So not phrenology.
Exactly. Phrenology was huge then, feeling the skull for organs-linked traits. Williams was distancing himself, saying, I don't need to touch your head, I can just see it. Made his methods seem maybe more advanced, more psychic?
Or maybe just more based on keen observation, perhaps?
Perhaps. But he definitely wanted to distinguish his method. He made a big deal about how his approach didn't need all the props and rituals of other practices.
Right. He claimed to be the first to control someone's mind against their will, without the usual mesmeric or magnetic stuff.
Yes, or biologic or thusologic processes, as they were sometimes called. He was drawing clear lines.
So what didn't his method involve?
Okay, he was very specific. No need for deep silence from the audience. Noise didn't matter, he said.
Interested.
No zinc or copper plates for people to hold. No shiny objects to stare at, although he admitted using those early on, basically just for focus, maybe a bit of theater. Crucially, no physical contact needed between him and the subject, no downward or upward passes with the hands like the mesmerists did,
Okay.
and absolutely no claim of anything supernatural. He framed it all as purely scientific, working on natural principles, even if they were newly discovered ones involving that atmospheric electricity.
So what were these amazing experiments he did in public? What did people actually see?
Well, according to his treatise, some pretty astonishing things.
Mm.
He claimed he could make subjects eat, like cayenne pepper, and think it was sugar.
Without telling them it was sugar first.
Apparently not. No specific impression needed, he said. Or make them drink strongest brandy, believing it was cold ice water, supposedly without getting drunk.
Wow, okay. That's quite a claim.
And he said he could control people's muscles against their will, make them unable to move or force them to do things.
Like involuntary actions.
Yes. And maybe the most compelling part for many people back then, he claimed he could instantly relieve chronic pain and other long-standing health problems.
Instantly.
That was the claim, which leads right into his ideas about healing.
Right, this wasn't just stage tricks for him. He genuinely believed in the healing power of the mind, didn't he?
Absolutely. He tied it back to that atmospheric electricity in the nervous system. He said the body's recuperative power, its ability to heal, comes from these returning successions of waves in the nervous system.
Waves of energy?
Kind of. Waves that the nervous system absorbed from the living spirit or mind. So for him, the mind, the spirit, had to be consulted for healing to happen. You couldn't bypass it.
So thoughts and feelings directly impact health.
Directly. He explicitly said joy and pleasure increase those discharges that help healing, while negative states like sorrow and fear withhold those discharges, which harms vitality.
That sounds incredibly modern, actually,
Yeah.
like psychosomatic medicine.
Decades ahead of its time, really. He called impressions made on the mind via the nervous system the highest of all therapeutical applications. Mind over matter, essentially.
And he had proof? Or what passed for proof back then?
He included numerous certificates of cure in his book, testimonials from doctors, respected community members, even big-name politicians like Sam Houston and J.C. Calhoun.
Sam Houston.
Hmm.
Wow. What do they say?
They detailed these dramatic cures, things like paralysis. There's the story of a young woman apparently bedridden for 18 years who he supposedly got walking again.
18 years.
That's the account. Also cures for convulsions, rheumatism, digestive issues like dyspepsia, even mental distress, and often very quickly weeks, sometimes hours.
Whether believe the cures or not, those testimonials must have been powerful evidence back then.
Hugely powerful. It presented a system not just as a theory, but as something with tangible, life-changing result.
Now, looking back, Williams wasn't just promoting his own thing in a vacuum, right? He was actively engaging with and criticizing other popular ideas at the time.
Oh, he wasn't shy at all. He openly went after his competitors. He dismissed things like electrobiology and thusology,
What were those exactly?
similar practices aiming to influence the mind, often involving gazing at objects. Williams basically called them rip-offs of his electro-psychology. He even jokingly called them electrobacology.
Electrobacology, why?
Apparently, because in those demonstrations, the subjects often had their backs to the audience, maybe to hide techniques or something. Williams was implying they weren't being fully transparent.
Ah, okay, so he was saying his method was more original, more scientific.
Yes. And he criticized using things like metal plates or special objects to gaze at. He said they had no real power themselves. They just grabbed the subject's attention and made them passive. The real power, for him, was always that atmospheric electricity and the nervous system's response.
So what did he think about mesmerism then? That was the big one, right? With the animal magnetism and trances.
Right. Mesmer's theory of an invisible fluid passed from operator to subject was still influential.
But Williams had a different take.
Completely different. He argued mesmerism wasn't about the operator injecting anything into the subject.
No magnetic fluid.
No. He thought the trance states and operator influence happened because the subject became passive, which made their own nervous system highly sensitive to that background atmospheric electricity.
So the operator just sets the stage, basically.
That was his view. The operator created the conditions for the subject's own system to react to this ambient energy. He even warned against inducing these abnormal states unless it was genuinely for healing. He saw it as potentially messing with someone's natural state if not done carefully.
Interesting. It's all about the individual's connection to this electricity.
Exactly. Internal, not external.
And maybe the most surprising thing he tackled was the whole science versus faith debate. That was really heating up then, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. New geological findings were suggesting the Earth was way older than the biblical account of creation in 6 days. That caused a huge stir.
A real crisis for some people. How did Williams handle it? Did he dismiss the science?
No, quite the opposite in a way. He tried to use a scientific experiment, his interpretation of science anyway, to bridge the gap.
Okay, how?
He described this experiment using an electrive machine, probably some kind of static electricity generator, to make mustard seeds grow into a ready-to-eat salad in just minutes.
Grow a salad in minutes. Seriously.
That was his claim. Whether it actually worked is another question, but his argument was the key thing.
Which was?
His logic went like this. If finite human wisdom, using electricity, can speed up nature so dramatically seed to salad in minutes, then surely infinite wisdom, God's wisdom, could have condensed the whole process of creation, forming the earth and everything on it, into 6 literal days.
Ah, I see. So electricity becomes the mechanism that makes rapid creation plausible.
Precisely. For Williams, science didn't disprove the ancient records. It potentially offered a way to understand how those seemingly miraculous events could have occurred within a natural, albeit electrically supercharged, framework. It's a really creative, if maybe scientifically questionable, attempt at reconciliation.
So when you pull it all together, what does this all mean for us today, looking back at Dr. B. Brown Williams?
Well, we've basically explored this mid-19th century mind that saw connections everywhere, from invisible electricity in the air to the human spirit itself.
It's a real snapshot of a time when science and philosophy were just so deeply tangled up, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the search for knowledge wasn't just about data, it was about building these grand, all-encompassing worldviews. Williams was asking huge questions and using the tools he had, electricity, mesmerism, alchemy, to craft equally huge and sometimes, yeah, pretty wild answers.
It shows how people grapple with the unknown,
Yeah.
using the concepts available to them at the time.
Definitely. And, this whole deep dive leaves us with a pretty compelling question, I think. Even today, with all our fancy neuroscience and physics, how much do we really understand about the full power of the mind? About its interaction with maybe subtle forces or energies we don't fully grasp yet?
That's a good point. Are we sure we know everything?
Exactly. Maybe there are still more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy, as Shakespeare said. Perhaps those pathways to deeper understanding, maybe even healing, are still out there, just waiting to be found right at the edge of what we currently accept as possible.
Something to think about, definitely. Maybe the next time you feel a strange intuition or a sudden burst of energy. Who knows?
Who knows indeed. Perhaps Dr. Williams, for all his strangeness, was on to something about the hidden potential within us and the universe around us.